It's been a little more than 6 months since Hurricane Florence devastated our state.
Tonight, consumer investigator Steve Spracia getting answers on the recovery efforts from a storm that caused historic flooding.
Hurricane Florence was the wettest storm on record for North Carolina, causing an estimated $17 billion in damages.
If the disaster hits your house, it's the worst thing that ever happens to you.
In the days when Florence hung over the state, the National Weather Service says an estimated 8 trillion gallons of water were dropped, swamping entire communities, farms, highways, businesses, and homes. In many cases, those recovery efforts continue, but those who had flood insurance found it made a difference.
People who had flood insurance after Hurricane Florence were able to recover faster.
Florence was followed 2 weeks later by Michael, which again left many areas underwater. To date, almost $500 million in flood insurance payouts have been made here in North Carolina alone. 520 claims from Michael have been made, resulting in $6.7 million in payouts. And 15,000 claims for Florence have also been honored, totaling $593 million in payouts. And the payouts continue.
Flooding is the most common natural disaster in America.
Florence and Michael taught North Carolinians you don't have to live in a flood zone to become a flood victim.
Regardless of where you are in the flood map, if it rains a foot in your area, you're probably going to flood.
Congress created flood insurance in the 1960s because commercial insurance companies believed it was too big a risk for them to insure homes against flooding in standard insurance policies. Although it's government-issued, flood insurance has limits. It covers $250,000 for your structure and $100,000 for the contents. So remember,
flood insurance is really your first line of defense.
So remember, though flood insurance is government-backed, you buy it as supplemental coverage from your local insurance agent, and also it takes 30 days for it to go into effect, so it's not a bad idea to consider it now before hurricane season begins. We're still about 70 days away from that. Getting answers for you, I'm consumer investigator Steve Spracia.